Good evening, I'm Andrew Chang. Adrian is away. Tonight, rising concerns as inflation sets a place at your dinner table.
I remember the prices used to be $177, then it went to $188, $199, $229, and now it's $249.
What it could mean for the economy as a whole. Also tonight, federal parties respond to the new vaccine mandate on Parliament Hill.
And the privileges belong to the House, so the House itself would have to make that decision.
A transformational breakthrough in transplant surgery.
Science can move pretty fast once we start getting these findings.
And the other shot doctors are urging us all to get.
I have to protect myself and my family and my grandchildren and the person next to me.
Prepping for flu season with the complications of COVID. This is The National. Canada's recovering economy seems to be at a crossroads. With COVID restrictions eased, Canadians are spending again. But the buying power of their money is being undermined in a way we haven't seen in nearly 2 decades. Take a look at Canada's inflation-rated September. Since dipping early in the pandemic, it's been rising quickly over the past year. And for some perspective, just take a longer view. You can see inflation has gone up and down over the past 2 decades. But to find a rate to match the current one, you've got to go all the way back to February 2003. But those are just numbers and lines on a screen. You're probably feeling it most in your grocery bill because rising food prices are a big part of that inflation rate. Chapelle looks at how it's hitting some Canadians already struggling during the pandemic.
For them, I paid out of pocket.
This Toronto mom tracks her grocery bill down to the penny.
Even if it changed by 5 cents, I'm gonna notice.
With 6 kids, the bills add up quickly. So Kanisha Harry uses couponing to stretch her dollars further. A strategy she shares with others on social media.
Let's go to Freshco.
Usually that was the cheapest. That skyrocketed. I remember the prices used to be $177, then it went to $188, $199, and then it went to $229, and now it's $249.
She's one of many Canadians trying to cope with rising food prices. With the price of meat up almost 10%, while dairy costs are more than 5% higher.
When you're feeding thousands of people, those percentage points really create a challenge.
For this Ontario Food Bank, the higher prices are the latest blow after higher demand.
The pandemic created an extreme challenge for us. We saw a sharp increase in the number of people that needed our services.
Canadians are also paying more for gas, cars, and shelter. And the price pressures are a concern worldwide, driven by global supply chain issues, factory closures, and strong consumer demand. Some economists say the situation could last longer than expected.
It seems that these sorts of issues can run all the way until the second half of 2022. And if that's the case, that would mean that we have higher price pressures for many months now.
So for many households, the higher cost of living isn't going away anytime soon. For now, Harry isn't too worried, as long as she sticks to her plan.
I just make sure that each week I get to my flyers and I look through my flyers. Even when I am tired, I still do it because I know if I don't, I'm going to go to the store and pay full price for product.
Okay, so Nisha, the Bank of Canada is certainly keeping a close eye on today's inflation report. When will we hear more?
Andrew, the central bank governor admits that this bout of inflation has been more persistent than expected, but maintains that it's temporary and will ease once supply chains get back to normal. Still, if inflation continues down this path, it could force the bank to hike interest rates sooner rather than later. We'll watch for any change in tone from the bank when it releases its economic outlook next week. Andrew?
Okay, thanks, Nisha.
You bet.
Well, 2 groups of Alberta workers are trying to do something that has never been done before in North America: unionize an Amazon warehouse. Others have tried without success, but as an investigation by the Fifth Estate found, that may be due to some questionable tactics. Mark Kelly has the details.
Workers at this Amazon warehouse are one step closer to unionizing, but unions in Amazon have a rocky past. And it's not just Amazon's workforce, but even companies that do business with Amazon, like drivers in Toronto who had a contract to deliver Amazon packages, about 170 a shift.
It's the volume. It's so much pressure to finish these parcels. You gotta go, go, go.
This former driver believes Amazon called the shots at his company, No time for breaks, little or no pay for overtime hours. When he pushed for a union at the company, he says their employer had a warning.
Amazon doesn't like unions. If you guys push for this union, we might lose our contract and then no one has a job.
The union vote never happened, and TK was fired. At another Toronto delivery company, more than 75% of the workers voted for a union.
But eventually the company closed down in the middle of bargaining and they declared bankruptcy.
And you think Amazon was behind that?
I do, yeah.
There's clearly an allergy to unionization.
Author Brad Stone says Amazon's anti-union stance stems from company founder Jeff Bezos.
He looked around at some of the traditional U.S. automakers and other retailers whose workforces were unionized, and he judged that they've limited the company's flexibility to innovate.
Union now and union forever!
After an aggressive and expensive anti-union drive from Amazon in Alabama, the no vote won by a 2-1 margin. Now the battle shifts to Alberta, where signs have already gone up urging workers to question the cost and effectiveness of a union.
I think it's a very challenging place to organize because of the nature, the precarity of the job, the power of Amazon. They're an incredibly powerful company, and there are fears of reprisal.
In a written response to CBC News, Amazon says our employees have the choice of whether or not to join a union. As a company, we don't think unions are the best answer for our employees. Mark Kelly, CBC News, Toronto.
And you can watch the full Fifth Estate investigation into Amazon. It airs tomorrow night on CBC television at 9 and 9:30 in Newfoundland. You can also stream it on CBC Gem. Well, we have a developing story in Ottawa tonight. CBC News has learned the Prime Minister is expected to announce details tomorrow of a proof of vaccination system for international travel. Katie Simpson has been tracking that story. So, Katie, what more do we know about this?
Fully vaccinated Canadians eager to get traveling again. This announcement really is for you. Tomorrow, Canada is going to unveil its proof of vaccination system for international travel, or what we all have been calling vaccine passports. This is according to a senior government source with direct knowledge of the situation. Departmental officials who came up with the system are going to brief reporters in the morning before the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister make an announcement. We have an idea of what this could involve. The Transport Minister has previously told CBC News that they're working with the provinces to actually come up with the certificates, and that it will involve some sort of nationalized, standardized QR code. So we'll get the details on that tomorrow.
And Katie, are there specific details that we might expect to learn tomorrow on this?
Well, we need to learn about a timeline here and when the recommendations to do international travel are going to be put back in place, when Canadians will be given the green light to really get back to normal on that front. And then there is the big question whether other governments are going to accept this form of proof. This is a big conversation that world leaders need to have. What Canada might accept is not necessarily what other countries might accept. So there needs to be some conversations about what is acceptable proof of vaccination. And those are the conversations that are going to need to be had, and questions that reporters will put to officials tomorrow.
All right, we'll be watching. Katie Simpson, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Now, when Parliament returns on November 22nd, some MPs may have to stay home. A new policy says anyone entering the House of Commons must be fully vaccinated, but there's already pushback. David Cochran explains where it's coming from and why.
Normally, to get into this building and pass this security, you need to be an MP or have the right kind of pass. But starting next month, being elected or being allowed won't be enough.
We have to be accountable to Canadians as leaders of this country. Getting vaccinated is part of that leadership.
We're just wanting all parliamentarians to embrace it as well, to show that consistency and to show that leadership.
The Liberals, New Democrats, and Bloc Québécois are all vaxxed and all for it. The Conservatives opposed. So at a private meeting of Parliament's Board of Internal Economy on Tuesday, 6 MPs from those parties outvoted the lone Conservative to impose the vaccine mandate, blocking duly elected MPs from physically entering Parliament if they aren't vaccinated.
One secret meeting where 7 MPs can make a decision saying that other members of Parliament would not be able to be in the House of Commons to represent their constituents is something that obviously we would have concerns about.
In my view, they don't have that ability because it's not they don't get to make those decisions.
This former parliamentary legal advisor says the Conservatives are right. The board can set financial and administrative rules, but has no power to restrict the privileges of MPs to enter Parliament.
The privileges belong to the House, not to the member, not to the board, but to the House itself. So the House itself would have to make that decision.
Which means the Conservatives can force this issue to a vote when Parliament resumes, though the vaccine mandate will likely survive as the other parties support it. And the Liberals and the NDP say unvaccinated MPs can still do their job by attending the House of Commons virtually, as MPs did in the last Parliament. David Cochrane, CBC News, Ottawa.
To Saskatchewan now, where new modeling suggests the number of patients in ICUs could more than double by the new year unless something changes, either in people's behavior or with additional restrictions. And the province's top doctor got a little emotional talking about that today.
I have no shame in pleading to the public that, we've gone so far and, we just have to pull along for the next few weeks and months.
And just one sign of how dire things are, 6 patients had to be transported to Ontario for care. Well, health officials are urging Canadians to get their flu shots as soon as possible. They're warning flu season could return with a kick this year that would put even more strain on healthcare systems already under COVID stress. Tashana Reid looks at how they're preparing.
1, 2, 3.
For 82-year-old Louise DeVoe, getting the flu vaccine isn't just about protecting her health.
Thank you.
John, let me just put a Band-Aid.
I have to protect myself and my family and my grandchildren and the person next to me. I don't want to make them sick either.
Ontario bought more than 7 million doses for this year, and DeVoe is one of the million considered high risk who have already received one. But the high-risk group also includes children.
I worry a little bit that there are probably some families who are not as eager to get the flu shot because, last year seemed to be such a trivial flu season.
Last year in Canada, only 69 lab-confirmed cases were detected for the whole season, compared to the yearly average of 52,000 cases over the previous 6 years. But health experts say since then, public health measures have eased.
In our own city, in our own province, you can have indoor gatherings with 25 people. And we know that it's those indoor settings, as the weather gets colder and we move indoors, that is how flu spreads.
More evidence? Other viruses are coming back.
Given that we are already seeing those respiratory illnesses and outbreaks in daycares, which we didn't see last year, there is no reason to believe that the flu virus won't behave the same way.
In British Columbia, the flu vaccine will be free for everyone this year over the age of 6 months. With COVID-19 in the balance, healthcare officials say they don't want a so-called twindemic.
The concern is that if we have more people sick with flu at the same time as we have people sick with COVID, the healthcare system could really be overburdened.
Health Canada says so far only 12 confirmed flu cases have been reported. The question now, how much will that change? Tashana Reid, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, now we have joining us Dr. Zain Shagla, infectious diseases specialist. So, Dr. Shagla, there's the kind of flu prevalence that we saw pre-pandemic. Then there was the dramatic low of last year. How bad do you expect this winter to be?
Yeah, I think it's going to be somewhere in between. So I don't think we're going to have a flu season like 2020 or 2021 where we really didn't have a flu season. But when we look to other places in the world, they have seen flu activity, and recognizing what kept flu away here in Canada, well, lockdowns, travel restrictions, very severe capacity limits, schools being closed in some regions. And so many of those things go back on the table. It's going to be hard to contain the flu, especially as people start bringing it back into Canada.
And, for someone who, let's say, normally doesn't get the shot, even pre-pandemic, what would you say to them? I mean, what's new this year that you think should convince them?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the healthcare capacity is something in mind. But remember, we still live in a society where, if you get flu-like symptoms, you need a COVID test. If your kids get flu-like symptoms, they need a COVID test. And so it's not just the hospitalizations, it's the absences, it's the testing, it's overwhelming the system. And so, this is the one preventable respiratory tract infection we have out there. it does a whole lot better to society to reduce that burden of absences if people get the shot.
Dr. Chagla, always good to talk to you. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Well, the Queen has canceled several engagements for the coming days, including a trip to Northern Ireland. Doctor's orders. The 95-year-old did look pretty sprightly last night, though, hosting a reception at Windsor Castle for business leaders. And today, a statement from Buckingham Palace said the Queen is in good spirits and was reluctant to accept the medical advice of getting a few days' rest. She does still plan to attend a climate conference in Glasgow beginning later this month. Russian officials are trying to curb COVID cases by ordering people to stay off work for a week with pay. Deaths have been surging for weeks and broke a record on Wednesday, reporting more than 1,000 of them in 24 hours. Only about a third of eligible Russians are fully vaccinated. In Russia today, a delegation from Afghanistan's new Taliban leadership made its case for diplomatic relations. Brar Stewart looks at the regime's latest bid for legitimacy on the world stage.
This is part of the Taliban's diplomatic offensive, holding talks with international officials wherever they can. Russia hosted this meeting, which included officials from 10 other countries. Afghanistan's foreign minister believes the world should see the Taliban as a legitimate government instead of a terrorist organization.
What do you say to countries that don't want to recognize the Taliban because of its track record?
We have guaranteed and protected all human rights currently in Afghanistan.
But actions speak louder than those words. Since the Taliban swept into power, young women have been banned from attending secondary school. There have also been reports of targeted killings and of thousands being forced from their homes. The country finds itself on the brink of economic collapse, and there are widespread food shortages.
This meeting is one of several that the Taliban has had in recent days. They've also spoken with officials from the U.S. and from Turkey, all in a bid to gain international acceptance and secure financial aid.
But how to deal with the Taliban is a difficult issue. Consider that the Afghanistan embassy in Moscow, the official diplomatic channel here, still flies the old flag of the former Afghan government.
We do not recognize this government. We said repeatedly that it is not inclusive at all, but we could not do anything, frankly speaking, with this.
In other words, some say there's little choice but to engage. Ghulam Jalal is head of the Afghan diaspora in Russia, a community of about 100,000. He fears that an isolated Afghanistan could be more unstable. If the world community is not participating, then there will be some kind of other people participating, he says, perhaps producing narcotics or something else that's even more dangerous. Like others, he admits the options aren't great, but he urges the world not to turn its back on Afghanistan now, regardless of who's in power. Brar Stewart, CBC News, Moscow.
In the U.S., there's a new development tonight in the search for Brian Laundrie. He's the person of interest in the death of his fiancée, Gabby Petito.
Earlier today, investigators found what appears to be human remains, along with personal items, such as a backpack and notebook belonging to Brian Laundrie.
Police have been searching the area for more than a month. They say it's too soon to confirm, though, if the remains are Laundrie's. Well, backlash continues over comedian Dave Chapelle's latest Netflix special, The Closer. Filled with content many consider to be transphobic, it led today to a protest by some Netflix staff. They called on their own company to make changes. Eli Glasner takes us through it.
So I'm a trans woman.
This trans comedian says she found some parts of Dave Chappelle's special funny, but
it's not the fact that I'm offended that's fueling my disdain for this special. I feel like it's incorrect, and it's validating very, very incorrect and harmful assumptions.
And she says could encourage harmful effects, inspiring others.
Where he has millions of viewers and he can say something that is transphobic. These people feel like they can say something that is also transphobic.
I am not saying that to say that trans women aren't women.
In The Closer, Dave Chappelle says he doesn't hate trans women, but in language that some see as transphobic, he says gender is a fact and jokes about trans women's bodies. In response, co-CEO Ted Sarandos said in an internal memo, content on screen doesn't translate to real-world harm. That only intensified the backlash.
These are expensive shows for, an hour-long stand-up set. So I think they're really attached to him as a commercial proposition.
This writer says the value of comedians such as Chapelle has Netflix caught between their audience and their employees.
It's about employees flexing their muscles about what kind of company they want to work at. And that's a big question for any company. Do you have to have a company line on things that are outside your remit?
Today, Canadians Dan Levy and Elliot Page added their voices to the cause. At the walkout outside Netflix HQ in Los Angeles, supporters called for disclaimers to be added.
To have something like Dave Chappelle's special not be noted that it's promoting discrimination and hate conversation is very hurtful.
Well, Chapelle says he'd like to see the trans and black community laughing together. Those at the rally want more investment in trans content and creators. Eli Glasner, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, doctors in the U.S. say they have achieved something that's never been done before.
When you put an organ from a pig into a human, is it going to do what it's supposed to do?
Up next, a medical first giving new hope for transplant surgeries. The first sit-down interview with Canada's first Indigenous Governor General.
When I first got the call, I didn't quite believe that this was happening.
Mary May Simon on her priorities for Rideau Hall after Julie Payette. And the Olympic flame arrives in Beijing amidst angry calls for a boycott.
That would be the seal of approval. We would be legitimizing genocide.
We're back in 2. Welcome back. They can save lives, and thousands of Canadians need them. But when it comes to organs for transplant, there is a big problem: a chronic shortage of donors. Now, a startling new development might change that, with a pig's kidney working for a human. Christine Birak has the details, starting with the scene in the operating room.
This is it. A kidney from a genetically engineered pig. Led by Dr. Robert Montgomery, surgeons in New York worked for hours attaching that kidney to a human patient, all the while asking the same question most of us would.
When you put an organ from a pig into a human, is it going to do what it's supposed to do?
In this case, the pig's kidney needed to rid the human body of waste, and remarkably, it did.
No evidence of this vigorous early rejection. And the second thing, the kidney functioned well.
Likely because this was no ordinary pig. Researchers had knocked out one of its genes that triggers the human body to reject pig organs. With family consent, the kidney was attached outside the body of a woman who had suffered brain death. Researchers then watched as it started producing urine. The study only lasted 2 days, but
the significance of moving, this into a human, I think, can't be understated.
I do think this is one of those studies that we'll look back on.
Canadian transplant surgeons want a longer study, but welcome the news. The latest data shows over 4,000 Canadians are waiting for organ transplants. Of those patients, 76% were waiting for a kidney.
I do think we're getting closer. Personally, I think we're still years away, but who knows? As you know, science can move pretty fast once we start getting these findings.
But bioethicists point out religious concerns and the toll this could take on animals shouldn't be ignored.
What we have done to non-human life in the name of human progress is unbelievable. We really owe them a lot.
The transplant research has not been published or peer-reviewed yet, but doctors say this could be the breakthrough that transforms transplants of other organs as well, potentially saving even more lives. Christine Birak, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, Canadian athletes planning to take part in next year's Winter Games will have to be fully vaccinated. The mandate was announced today by Canada's Olympic and Paralympic committees. It'll include all athletes, coaches, and support staff heading to Beijing next year. Now, with the Winter Games less than 4 months away, today the Olympic torch landed in host city Beijing. As Thomas Daigle shows us, it arrived under heightened security and some calls for a boycott.
As the Olympic flame arrived on that jet in Beijing, China showed the world how it wants the upcoming Winter Games to be perceived: COVID safe and free of controversy. A small crowd was allowed in. Complaints about human rights were not. In accordance with the requirements for hosting simple, safe, and exciting competitions, said Beijing's Vice Mayor Zhan Jiangdong, we insist on putting public health and safety first. But before the flame left Greece on its way to China, what was meant as a graceful ceremony took a turn when Olympic organizers got an earful. That was Tibetan Canadian Chimi Lamo shouting. She and two others were promptly arrested for demonstrating against what they call the genocide games.
They are currently systematically trying to erase my Tibetan identity.
She and the others were taken to a Greek jail on Monday and were only just released. Lamo spoke to us once she made it to Athens today.
We're calling on all Canadians to stand with us and call for the IOC to move the games from Beijing to elsewhere.
In Washington today, similar concerns over China's human rights record were being voiced by the president's pick for ambassador to Beijing.
The PRC's genocide in Xinjiang, its abuses in Tibet, its smothering of Hong Kong's autonomy and freedoms, and its bullying of Taiwan are unjust and must stop.
Despite that, many of Beijing's Olympic venues appear ready, and countries such as Canada and the U.S. show no sign of considering a boycott. With even the flame now lit in China, there's little doubt left the games will go on. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, when we come back, a sit-down interview with Governor General Mary May Simon.
When I first got the call, I didn't quite believe that this was happening.
From her initial hesitancy about taking on the role to moving Rideau Hall forward after Julie Payette. And how did a piece of New Brunswick end up on the Nova Scotia side of the river? We'll get to the bottom of this geographic oddity a little later. Welcome back. Tomorrow, Governor General Mary May Simon will wrap up her first international visit. She's been in Germany, meeting with the country's president and with outgoing Chancellor Angela Merkel. She's also attended the Frankfurt Book Fair, the largest event of its kind. And this year, Canada was the guest of honor. But before her trip, Mary May Simon gave her first sit-down interview as Governor General. She spoke with CBC North's Pauline Pemick at Rideau Hall about adjusting to her new life, her priorities, and her promises of a changed workplace. And as you'll hear, the interview was done in two languages, though not the two you might be used to hearing.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for having us here today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm pretty sure a lot of Canadians and beyond are wondering how it's been for you moving into your new home and taking on this new role. How has it been for you?
It's getting better. I think at the beginning it was, for me, a bit of a challenge because we had not been expecting anything like this. And we had already downsized in our home, my personal home. So coming back into a huge residence like this, it has been a little bit of a challenge, trying to make the private quarters like home, but we're getting there. We got some of our stuff, our art and everything in our place now, so it's starting to feel like home.
When you first heard the news or you were first offered the position, what was your first thought? What was your initial reaction? What were you thinking?
I thought about whether I could take on this responsibility for a couple of things, because of my age and also the stamina that will be required in order to do this work, because it's very travel intensive. And also, I think having kind of changed my way of life into transitioning a little bit to a slower lifestyle, being with family a bit more, getting to know my grandkids more. I had to switch back to being a full-time person working. So that part has been a little bit challenging, but of course these things take time to get used to, and I'm getting used to it. When I first got the call, I didn't quite believe that this was happening. In fact, I thought I was just one of a list of people that was in a long list. Mm-hmm. But then I kept getting phone calls and saying I was on the short list, and lo and behold, I get a call from the Prime Minister one day offering me the position. So that was really, we were very excited. Whit and I were very excited about it.
We were all very excited, and congratulations again in person. What do you see happening in your next few months that you would want to share that are some of your priorities?
One of the things that I think we really need to work on right away is on reconciliation. Mm-hmm. Because when I was appointed and prior to that, a lot of people expressed some great support for the work that I would be doing, because I'm the first Indigenous person that has been a Governor General here in Canada. But at the same time, I have to remember that I am the Governor General for Canadians.
Yep.
So it's, you know, it's a variety of issues. Like in my priorities, I talked about reconciliation, education as being the over-encompassing activity surrounding reconciliation, youth. Mm-hmm. Mental health is a big thing that I'd like to address as well. Mm-hmm. And climate change, you know, these are things that are really important to Inuit, and they're also very important to all Canadians and all Indigenous peoples. So these are things that, some of the things I'll be working on. I'm sure over the next 5 years, other issues will come up.
Ajiging ito nit, kigaktorakang nakavekang naktut, unalit Inuit. Kano ukaw ti ko akayak pigit, inuk tutukihang ikaloak pata. Kano Inuit ilinak titsikan naktuluak pitiku kituliman. Tukiha tiyo luaka vigit tamang me ikayok tu nilung nakat ni ilik ni kau ye makahing nak mata huname okaw tikan na kayak pigit ilik ni.
Over ni pijuming. Nung naktuam yung hatigi kata tamak ko pinailo tabut amalo sibung mapalya ni batchigi ngitumagaro galwak tiluwi harlo na tu inautalo Uvalurunit inugutta asingilunun khasimajuit atjigi tumagalo galwak suta kisiani tamani nunaktuami ngo khatigi gatta pinasuhatigi palia lagnimik atoga haktogotsijunga inugalwagottalunit inutuinaugalwagottalunit ammalo silaktuami ngo khatigi tuit tatigi tuinangillugit nunaliniw iluani aqiutivalliagutta taman aqiutivallianivut angilivallialangammat.
Looking at the Governor General previous, Julie Payette, what do you want to say to reassure that, you know, this is something you can move forward from? This is something that is, I'm trying to find the word in English, but dia akayo hilangit na vit. How will you move forward with the new office, with the new staff, to reassure Canadians?
When I went through my installation speech, I really wanted to tell Canadians that I was really being appointed to represent Canadians, and that my work that I do is always forward-looking. And you know, when I was appointed and came to Rideau Hall, I spoke to people here that had been working, and I reassured them that the workplace is going to be in a way that is positive, forward-looking, and that we are here to serve Canadians. And I think that over time we have been able to do that, and I have excellent relationships with the staff of Rideau Hall. And I think Canadians will see that, see in our actions that we are proactive, we are serious about the work that we're doing. And over time, we will show Canadians that this is the way we want to do things, and we're doing that already now.
Thank you.
Okay, when we come back, the global supply chain crisis hits Canada's biggest port.
Right now you can see we have more than 100 containers sitting in my yard, right? Before it was 40, 50.
Next, the people caught in the middle and why it might have a ripple effect on the holiday shopping season. Welcome back. We've heard a lot lately about problems in the global supply chain. The pandemic and the economic recovery from it both play a role. But what does it look like for those caught in the middle? Lindsay Duncombe shows us.
This is what a stressed supply chain looks like. Non-stop cargo Tetris in a crowded yard and a business owner in the middle of it trying to figure out what to do with all these containers.
Right now it's super busy. It's after 2 years, now it's super duper busy right now. Mostly import, so much import came here right now.
Amandeep Bassi's transportation company picks up goods from the Port of Vancouver, delivers them to a customer, then returns the container to the port. At least that's the way it's supposed to work.
Right now you can see we have more than 100 containers sitting in my yard, right? Before it was 40, 50, 60 containers.
Many of these containers are empty, and there's little room at the port to return them. The congestion means transportation companies are working longer hours, paying more fees, and losing money.
Who's making money? Port's making money, and the shipping line's making billions of dollars. Yeah. And what do we get? We're squished right in the middle of the trucking companies.
Here's what's going on. The Port of Vancouver has avoided those long lines of ships seen in California, but volume at the port is hitting record highs, and way more stuff is coming into Canada than is going out.
Because COVID has had a dramatic effect on individuals' consumption. We've all been staying at home. We haven't been able to spend on services, on travel. So we've bought stuff.
There is so much demand for goods from Asia, shipping companies are skipping a step in the normal back and forth of global trade. Rather than load containers with Canadian grain or potash, they want the empties back in Asia as quickly as possible, so they're piling up.
Because of this surge in imports, we're out of balance. The supply chain is out of balance, and that's causing congestion locally with a lot of empties.
The head of Canada's largest port believes demand patterns will normalize in the next several months, but he sees the congestion as a warning sign.
We're frustrated because we can see this problem is going to happen again because we're running out of capacity.
For consumers, the container crunch means two things: potential delays in stuff we order and higher prices. For Amandeep Bassi, it means less cash and more stress.
I don't have time to give my family.
A supply chain disruption disrupting his life. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
And when we come back, an oddity along the Nova Scotia land border.
Just over here on the other side is New Brunswick.
How a piece of New Brunswick ended up on the wrong side of the river. Next.
I'm Alamin Abdul Mahmoud. Tomorrow on CBC's daily news podcast Front Burner, when the Taliban retook control of Afghanistan, much of the foreign aid to the country was suspended. Now, a humanitarian catastrophe looms. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. Canada is full of geographic curiosities, but have you heard about the little piece of New Brunswick that actually sits in Nova Scotia? Part of the official boundary marking the two provinces is the Mississauga River. But right there, between Olac and Amherst, is a 5-hectare parcel of New Brunswick that dangles into Nova Scotia. So, how to explain it? And what's at stake? The CBC's Jacques Poitras went to find out.
In this quiet corner of Atlantic Canada, the pastoral views are clear, official boundaries a bit more muddy.
So we're sitting on the back of my pickup truck on the Nova Scotia side of the actual provincial border on the riverbank of the Mississauga River. And just over here on the other side is New Brunswick.
The river has been the boundary between the two provinces in this marsh since the British carved New Brunswick out of Nova Scotia in 1784. And it's been confirmed over and over again.
Except for this oxbow where the river used to flow.
There's this one piece of land, though, on the Nova Scotia side of the river that belongs to New Brunswick. When the border was closed last year, this 5-hectare marshy notch stuck out in New Brunswick's land registry system. A federal government atlas shows the boundary in the river and the land is part of Nova Scotia. A Nova Scotia website has the boundary wrapping around the property, putting it in New Brunswick. The owner lives in Nova Scotia and wouldn't speak to us, but confirmed the land is part of New Brunswick. That's where her taxes go. So how did this happen?
We are here today because Mr. Patra asked about this oxbow in the river doing some research, and we're now very close to the actual site where the river would have had a different routing in its earlier days prior to the abattoir being built further downstream.
So in 1948 they set up the Maritime Marshland Reclamation Act, and basically what they did is they took over the maintenance of the dike system in both New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. Actually, what they ended up doing is rebuilding all the dike systems. And so as a result, if the old original creek meandered a lot, sometimes what they did is cut an oxbow off so you could go straight through, and that could cut the distance in that particular area by about a third. So you could get much better water flow in that area.
It just was more efficient to get rid of the water, to drain, to cut a new channel and bypass the big loop in the river.
You can see where the old riverbed is and why this land was once on the New Brunswick side of the river, but isn't anymore.
And I don't know what their thinking was way back then as to the legalities of the Nova Scotia, New Brunswick land registry or whatever, but I mean, it happened. And
it turns out the old channel is still the actual border. Service New Brunswick says when a natural feature like a river is a boundary, the boundary shifts with the river only if the shift is gradual and natural, like with erosion. If the river moves through artificial human engineering, the boundary stays in the same place. So we don't have to add these 5 hectares to the list of New Brunswick border disputes. We almost went to war with Maine in the 1830s, and we feuded with Quebec in the 1840s. We're still disputing whether this island near Grand Manan belongs to Canada or the US. Here on the Mississauga, ownership is not as murky as it seems, and there's barely a ripple over this curious little notch. Not so much a dispute as a point now moot. Jacques Poitras, CBC News, on the Mississauga River between Nova Scotia and New Brunswick.
Now you know. Just ahead, how an Indigenous artist took a piece of his culture and wove it into a university team jersey. His logo design is the first of its kind in Canada. Our moment is next. Well, after many years of consultation, today the athletic programs at the University of Northern British Columbia in Prince George revealed their new logo. And it's got quite a backstory. It was created by Trevor Angus, an Indigenous artist in Vancouver, and his design for the Timberwolves reflects his culture, his love of sport. His moment of artistic passion is our moment tonight.
It's really awesome. I'm really proud. They unveiled them at a ceremony this morning, and I was there, and I got to see the actual basketball players and the soccer players wearing them, and they also gifted me one of them. I thought it was really awesome because when I used to go and watch the basketball games, I actually told one of my friends, I said, man, I wish I could put a First Nations, put one of my designs on that jersey. I know exactly how it would look. UNBC Timberwolves, they had a wolf as their logo already, so I went with that as well, which I thought was really fitting because wolves are they're a pack animal. They work as a team, right? And that's really fitting for a basketball team, of course. And where I'm from, we have the Lachibu, it's called. It's the wolf clan, and they're all loud and proud. So I thought it was a really good fit. I didn't expect it to blow up the way it did, and the huge response that we had was just amazing.
That does look pretty great. And as you might have guessed, this is a story coming full circle because Trevor Angus used to go to UNBC. This was back in the early 2000s. So he's seen the logo quite a bit. He's probably thought about it an awful lot in all of those years. And now he gets to see this wonderful moment. I'm sure you'll see the logo a lot from this day forward as well. That's The National for this October 20th. Have a great night.